In Louisville, Kentucky, a black man, robbed, kidnapped, and sexually abused a woman at gunpoint. And the liberal judge wants to reduce his sentence by 35 years. Well, it doesn't want to. She effectively did. Against the jury's recommendation of 65 years of prison time, she decided to only give him 30. And her reasoning is he just fell through the cracks, bro. He's just oppressed. He's just a victim of the society he was brought up in. We have to be soft on him, all right? We have to reform him. We have to help him be who he really needs to be, all right? We have to be soft on him, all right? Now, this is the equivalent of white parents like babying their kids, coddling their kids. This is fucking coddling criminals. Except, you know, when you coddle kids, all right, maybe they grow up and become shit people, all right? When you coddle a criminal, you know, it's basically over. I mean, what do you expect whenever this person is not reformed after... What are you going to do after 30 years when this person comes out and does the same thing again? Like, it's just frustrating to watch this, all right? It's freaking holy cortisol spike, all right? Anyway, the judge's name is Tracy Davis. She's obviously an idiot, all right? A liberal, woke, nonsense, crazy person. Now, she's being accused of doing this because the perpetrator's black. I was going to say the victim. I don't know if the victim's black, actually. Yeah, I believe... that people are saying it's because the perpetrator's black, so I don't know. It's racially motivated. I don't know that that's true. I actually haven't even watched the video. I mean, I'm doing these videos on a whim. I say this every time. What do I think of the ponytail, by the way? Hot or not? What? And then as soon as I get on Twitter, I see a bunch of news. Oh, yeah, I can see this on the side. Like, Lila Rose. Do y'all know who Lila Rose is? I mean, I'm a Catholic, so this is like... My Twitter is, how do I say, catered to me. So I see political stuff, but I also see religious things. But I don't know if my audience is really religious. I don't even know if y'all would want to see that. Like, I have an audience. Anyway, but I should have covered this, the Epstein email about the girl saying she trusts in Jesus. So sad. And this one's like, this is a little lighter. Well, I don't know. The one, Candace Owens demanding police question Charlie Kirk's widow. I actually have no idea what that is. So maybe, I don't know. Candace is a little off her rocker recently. But hasn't she always been? It's just that people see it nowadays. Anyway, let's look at this and see how we're going to judge just how stupid this judge is, all right? We'll be the real judges here, all right?
Moving on now to dramatic moment in the courtroom after a man was found guilty on sexual assault charges. The jury recommended 65 years for Christopher Thompson. Judge Tracy Davis ended up cutting the conviction time in half. WHS 11's Clarice Shaley explains the decision.
Seconds after the start of a hearing deciding the future for Christopher Thompson.
Before we even get appearances, Mr. Thompson, I'm gonna need you to be respectful.
I ain't doing nothing.
Well, it's fine. Okay?
First of all, this guy looks like an exemplary human being. Just looks like a perfect, you know, civilian. Definitely somebody you want in your society. Yeah, very respectful, as you can see.
What?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. At the end of the day...
If I could spit on you, I would. Dude, just because of that, just lock him up because of that, bro. It doesn't even matter what he did, bro. If you have no respect for authority, like how much lenience can you give these people, right? Just with the lack of respect for authority is like sufficient for me to say this person is unlikely to be reformed coming out of jail. Mind you, not that jail is really for reform. I don't know that anybody believes that, by the way. It's definitely not for that. I mean, I'm not saying that it should be. It should be for punishment. You ruined somebody's life. You know, you took something that you can't give back. And now your life should be equally ruined. Now, of course, the question is how we measure that. What is the equivalent? Although it shouldn't be an equivalent, it should be worse. But I guess that's, in theory, I guess that's what the judge is there to do, right? Weigh the consequences of what you did and what's just, I guess.
I'm the one with the pen.
Sentencing day for the 24...
Oh, she laying down the law. I run this shit, all right? Listen here, boy.
4-year-old found guilty of kidnapping, robbery, sexual abuse.
He's 24, bro.
Court, all among the charges from July 2023. LMPD found DNA connecting Thompson to the robbery and sexual assault of a woman in southwest Jefferson County. At the time, Thompson was on probation and on a diversion program after being charged with having a stolen firearm and fleeing police.
Judge, I think I have an obligation to ask the court to consider a sentence in the 20-year range.
I don't know. Look, I've never been a criminal. Never will be. I don't know any criminals. I'm kind of lying. Actually, my uncle, I think, was like a drug dealer. But anyway, I don't talk to him that much. I think for obvious reasons. He was in jail most of my childhood, so I didn't really know him. I don't know exactly how probation works. Does that mean you're like in jail for a portion of time and then you come out like because of good behavior? Okay, so it seems like it's to avoid jail time. So I'm curious to know if he went to jail initially. Okay, so I don't know if he served jail time before his probation, but I mean, just the fact that at this point, he's a repeat offender, right? Like, he's not a one-time criminal. He's not as she's going to say later, fell through the cracks. Well, I guess that doesn't really refer to whether or not you're a repeat offender or not. But at this point, in my opinion, sorry if you could hear that. That's my kitchen timer. I'm on my productivity thing. I have a freaking, dude, let me not dox myself and see my addresses on here. I bought a freaking brick. Dude, I should have done an unboxing. Anyway, unrelated. Like I said, this guy's a career criminal. Once you do it once, you see how soft the judicial system is on you. They let you free. You're going to be more tempted to do it again, and you have less respect for authority than you already did because you broke the law, knowing that there was going to be likely some consequence for it. Now, of course, this guy is a perfect example of that because he has zero respect for the judge.
Which would be the minimum as he has been found.
Mr. Thompson has shown nothing but extremely egregious conduct in this courtroom.
Facts.
As well as the underlying crime itself. This was one of the most offensive cases that I have handled.
The jury recommends a 65-year sentence to the judge.
Hold on, no, just kidding.
But instead, Judge Tracy Davis went much lower, 30 years, citing his background.
Mr. Thompson never actually got the opportunity to get any type of treatment, whether that be mental health treatment, whether that be anger management.
It doesn't matter because jail is for deterrence. When you decide the length of punishment, you shouldn't decide. I understand. I want to play devil's advocate here and say she's trying to be just, quote unquote, because she's giving a fair sentencing for the capacity of this person to understand that what they did was wrong. Right? And maybe if you had grown up in a two-parent household, as I highly doubt this person did, and you grew up with parents teaching you morals and values, maybe in a religious household, maybe in a community where people reinforce these ideas about what's right and what's wrong, people invested in your future and in saying you do the right thing, yeah, obviously you have a lesser capacity to do crime, to do wrong. And obviously this person is completely the opposite. He probably grew up without a father. He probably grew up in an environment where he saw other people doing the same things. He probably never had respect for authority because, like I said, he saw other people with that same lack of respect for it. And so the likelihood of him doing crime is way higher. What I would ask to the judges, is that even relevant if the outcome is the same? If a person who grows up affluent, with people who care about them, whatever, if he ends up doing the same crime, why does it matter? The outcome is the same. We should be punishing people based on the crime they did, not on the background they have. At the end of the day, the deterrent is the same. In fact, if anything, because they have a more egregious, not egregious background, a more unstable background, because they have a higher likelihood, capacity to do these things, criminal activity, the likelihood of reforming them is lower. So if anything, you should give them a higher sentence because they need a harsher punishment in order to understand how wrong what they did is. If anything, the just thing to do, just to the victim, this would be just for the victim, not for the perpetrator. The just thing to do for everybody involved would be to give him a higher sentence because like I said, he's less likely to be reformed and he's more likely to pose a threat when he comes out than somebody who did grow up in that environment. And that's even if you take those things into consideration, which I'm arguing that you shouldn't at all. Doesn't even matter. It should be a set, you do this crime and, the circumstances. But like I said, it's hard to say because, like I said, you can play devil's advocate. There's, of course, like crimes of passion. Like, of course, you take mental illness into consideration. Like, obviously, if you're like a schizophrenic and you like murder someone, I'm sure they're like more lenient on you than if you're like a normal person. But I would argue that you shouldn't be. At the end of the day, that, like I said, the outcome is the same. So it doesn't matter. It's either deterrence by punishing them so that they don't commit it again in the future, or it's prevention. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Deterrence or prevention by keeping them in jail so they simply can't do it again.
Etc. Unfortunately, he fell through the cracks. and ended up before this court.
She made this ruling.
He fell through the cracks. So this lady has the capacity. This is the most sympathetic woman in the world. This is why we need women out of career fields, all right? Especially places where they make big decisions like this. She has so much sympathy for a person who, at gunpoint, kidnapped, robbed, sexually abused a woman that she's able to consider. How does she not have sympathy for the victim? Why is sympathy one way? I don't know. This must be, I know this is definitely a female thing, a woman thing to be sympathetic. But why are they always sympathetic to, or at least in most cases it seems, maybe because it's always what makes the headlines is when they're sympathetic to the victim. I suppose maybe there's cases where they're sympathetic to they're usually sympathetic to the perpetrator. I feel like there might be cases where they're sympathetic to the victim, but those aren't, I feel like everyone would applaud that, and so they don't make the news. It's not like a surprising thing. It's what you should do. You should be sympathetic to the victim. Oh my gosh, I keep getting my terms confused. You should be sympathetic to the victim and not to the perpetrator, because the perpetrator is the one who committed the act. You know, the victim had no choice. The perpetrator did. Anyway.
After talking over Thompson and acknowledging a lack of effort to change.
It is just a shame that you can't look at all of these things and say, as of today, February the 2nd of 2026, I want to be a different person. I want a better outcome.
There's only when you should do things like this, at the latest when they're like 16, 12. It's a long time coming, you know. Obviously, somebody like this has been molded into this type of person from when they were literally a child, 5 years old, maybe younger. I mean, if the father hasn't been in the home at all then it's been since his birth, basically. I mean, he didn't stand a chance. So from that viewpoint, I understand what she's saying. Like, he fell through the cracks. Like, yeah, he's a product of his circumstance. It's not necessarily this guy's fault. Like, if you switch me and this guy's life, like, yeah, obviously I'm going to be the same guy, probably. I'm sure some of it is genetic. And I'm not trying to be a race realist here, but, you know, I'm sure there are genes that code for your, like, aggression and your capacity, like, I don't know if psychopathy is, like, on a range, but I'm sure it is. Like, I'm sure there's aspects of it. Like, you know, I don't know, your level of inhibition, like your capacity to do harm to others. Like, I'm sure these things are on a spectrum in terms of genetics. So I'm sure there are genes that code for this. And so sure, maybe this guy had the bad genes or something. And even then, that's basically reinforcing the idea that it's not his fault. It's like something outside of his control. But by that logic, you can argue that nothing is in your control, which I actually give some credence to this idea. This is kind of not to cross over on a tangent, but this is kind of like the black pill idea that your genetics determine everything about your life in terms of looks. They say it in terms of looks. But I would say, you know, a lot of your life is predetermined almost, because you're born into a certain family with a certain genetics, in a certain country, in a certain class, and all those things have an impact on how your life turns out. And of course, with certain differences in genetics, some people are just wired a certain way. Maybe you're wired to work harder. Maybe you had some circumstance in your life that made you that way. So yeah, like I said, all that to say, I'm playing devil's advocate to put myself in this idiot judge's mind. I'm not saying I agree with her. I'm just saying I understand where she's coming from. But it's just a stupid way to look at the justice system, because you're never going to administer justice from the victim's point of view if you have this mindset. You can't be sympathetic, because if you take this mindset the way I explained it, like nothing is your fault, then there's no reason any crime should be punished. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're a product of your circumstance. Everybody's a product of their circumstances. There's no exception.
I want to be an asset to society.
Republican Metro Council member Anthony Piagentini has been vocal about decisions from Jefferson County judges.
And this is endemic of the complete lack of support the judiciary in Jefferson County is giving to the people to keep them safe.
Thompson will finish.
Exactly. Their obligation is to the people of the county, of the city, and not to the people who commit crime and, you know, obviously perpetuate the crime.
Serving his time when he's 54 years old. He's not eligible for probation or parole. Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 on your side.
Thompson will be back in court in March for assault charges he got while in custody. Meanwhile, Jefferson County's Commonwealth Attorney...
Bruh, I hadn't even seen this. So this guy, at gunpoint, kidnaps a woman, right? Robs her, assaults, sexually abuses her. And in custody, again, assaults somebody, and he's going to go back, you know, to court. for this separate assault case. Like, how much crime would he have to commit for the judge to be like, no? I'm surprised she gave him anything over the minimum, to be quite frank. I mean, like I said, with that mindset, like, why would you just not give him the minimum? Like, how does the spectrum work here? Like, if you are completely at fault, like a product of your environment, you had all the opportunities, or sorry, you had no opportunities to reform yourself to be a good human. With that logic, when you give them the minimum sentence, like 0 years, this is completely out of your control. You had no chance at becoming a good human. In contrast to, you know, let's say, like I said, the other example where you're an affluent person with 2 loving parents in a household where you got everything you needed and they taught you right from wrong, and you still did this heinous crime. When you throw the book, at that point, you throw the book at him, right? 65 years, that's logical.
Jury Weathers is also reacting to this.
Not saying I agree with that, but I don't know if I made that. It's a stupid way of thinking, but I'm saying, like, how do you even quantify that? Like, how does this work? This nonsense idea.
Decision saying, quote,
it should be you do this certain crime, you know, outside of, but see, it's like, I hate being a fence sitter, damn it. Okay, I'm not a fence sitter, but I'm saying, like, I can understand, like, because I think everybody would agree, okay, in certain mental cases, like, if you're in a certain mindset, but then you could, like, you make exceptions, but you could argue that this guy is in a certain quote-unquote mindset, like, because of his environment. But look at him. Obviously, he's a fully functional person. Yeah, he has anger problems, but that's not like a mental illness or whatever.
We are disappointed that the court deviated from the sentence for less than
just
half
throw the book at him,
of
damn
what
it.
the jury of his peers determined was appropriate for this dangerous defendant, end quote.
Anyway. Yeah, so I do find it weird that the accounts on Twitter are saying it's because he's black. Oh my gosh, shut up. It seems like maybe I guess maybe race is, there's some component of race involved here, but I think she's just stupid is what the judge is just retarded at the end of the day. She's liberal. Her brain has fallen out of her head. She's so open-minded that her brain has fallen out, and she's now sympathizing with perpetrators of rape. This is a great sign. Bartenders go to jail for I cannot speak. Over-serving drunks who kill someone. So judges should face jail time when the criminals they release do the same. Is this true? Do bartenders go to jail when they overserve drunks who kill somebody? Oh my gosh, this poor woman, Irina Zarutska, was that her name? Alexander Solzhenitsyn. A communist system can be recognized by the fact that it spares the criminals and criminalizes the political opponents. Okay, so this seems like the other judge who ran against Tracy Davis, Mary M. Shaw, who lost by, I don't know what this difference is. I'm not going to do the math. 2,000 votes, it seems like. 2,000. Okay, I lied. I am going to do 200 and I want to say 2,270. Right? Somebody check that. I know it's close. And this guy is saying mail-in ballots. I don't know. Oh, I was like, wait, is there supposed to be bottom text here? I didn't get it, but obviously they photoshopped a black guy. If the justice actually worked, he wouldn't be there. Oh, this is a perfect quote. Ronald Reagan, we must reject the idea that every time a law is broken, society is guilty rather than the lawbreaker. It is time to restore the American precept that each individual is accountable for his actions. Now, like I said, obviously there is some extent to which your actions are results of your environment. You yourself, your actions are a result of your way of thinking, and that is a result of your environment. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The result is the same, and you have to punish the result. And if you don't punish it, you only help perpetuate it and maintain it. And so you have to do something. Yeah, you can feel sympathy while still understanding that you have to punish crime. You know, what do? You change the environment. You don't change the outcome by saying, well, I guess we can't lock him up. You know, his childhood was horrible. No, you do what you can to fix other people's childhoods. So this doesn't happen again. You know how you do that? By punishing crime. Okay, look, when I see stuff like, look, I'm not racist, all right? But when I see stuff like this, I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. Hear me out, all right? I'm kidding. I wish life came with a structure manual. It's freaking Mein Kampf. Real. He's so real for that. I think Nick Sorter, I see this guy a lot. I actually don't know who this guy is. I think this video is actually worse, so let's watch this.
But Judge Davis thought the jury's recommendation was too long. She feels he hasn't mentally matured yet and never had a real shot at getting any help early in life.
But if you were to come in here and instead of being hurt and angry, which is what this court hears, right, as a 20-year-old African-American male that has been, experienced this society, etc., and you would show that, yes, okay, this
What are
is
you
the
on
situation,
about?
this is who I am. I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to.
Obviously, he does want to be this. He doesn't give a fuck. Are you not hearing him? Excuse my language. I'm trying to cuss less, okay? Actually, for Lent, y'all hold me accountable, all right? For Lent, I'm not saying a single cuss word. How about that? Not gonna happen, but we're gonna try, all right?
Thompson repeatedly
That's why I'm trying to what?
I don't want to be in jail for forever.
Thompson repeatedly stated.
That's what I was trying to make me as. I gotta bust out the black scent, you know what I'm saying? No, that's what you are, buddy, all right?
Did not care, not about his sentence, the victim, or her family.
Dude, it's actually scary that there's people out there like this. Like, I don't know, like one little thing and the switch flips and like they like do some like heinous act. I don't know. It's just crazy. Dude, somebody stole our package today and that makes me fucking I'm revolted at just that. Like, imagine like people are here fucking kidnapping, robbing. Like, dude, I mean, this country's over. Sad to say.
Davis emphasized she's the one that holds the pen, and regardless of what the media.
Just so you know, I very much am. Is that what you'd say, like a black pillar in terms of like? I'm a doomer. All right, I definitely think this country's over. There's no reform that can save it. You'd need like a radical change in. Dude, I saw something today, unrelated, but unrelated to crime, but related to the outcome of this country. That Gen Z is like the first generation that's dumber than their parents. I don't know how true that is, but I saw that headline on Twitter. It's a very reliable source, of course. But it doesn't surprise me. Like I do believe it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was true. Because I mean, you guys see it. Like the iPad kids, the fact that, you know, kids can't go 5 minutes without looking at their phone is just insane. So
you may think she applies the law. To her, 65 years was an extremely long time.
Extremely long. I mean, there's obviously a reason the jury came to that decision. I mean, this guy is going to be 50 by the time he comes out. If she had applied the jury's decision, he would have been 80. Even that's still too young, coming out after, you know, changing a woman's life by sexually abusing her. You know, if it wasn't bad enough after kidnapping and, you know, robbing her at gunpoint, you know, to come out an 80-year-old is still, I mean, you got off scot-free, basically. I mean, you only lost 65 years of your life.
As she puts it, it's his whole life, one she doesn't believe should be spent entirely behind bars.
This court does not believe that Mr.
It's a stupid thing to say.
If given the resources that he can get while incarcerated.
Yeah, no shit. No criminal is given by that logic, no criminal. I know I've already said this, but I mean, yeah, every criminal has something wrong with them, obviously, and obviously every criminal that has something wrong with them has something wrong with them because of their environment. All right, maybe they had some genetic anomaly where they're, you know, more inclined to commit crime. Maybe they had an abusive parent. Maybe they, you know, nobody does a crime for no reason. All right, even if it's seemingly so, deep down there is an underlying cause for why they did it. You know,
is beyond being rehabilitated.
Oh wait, what did he say? He's not beyond
rehabilitated. Get while incarcerated is beyond Mr. Thompson. If given the resources that he can get while incarcerated is beyond being rehabilitated.
Did you say he is beyond being rehabilitated? Because it sounds like she wanted to say is not beyond. So kind of a Freudian slip there. But maybe I misunderstood that. As this person says, what about the entire life of the victim? Oh my gosh, shut up. Dude, why does stuff autoplay? What about the entire life of the victim? Why should they have to look over their shoulder in 30 years? If judges are going to be making decisions based off their own judgment, they need to be able to explain where their moral foundation is rooted. Most of these activists rule based on their feelings. And this is actually a good point. Look, I don't mean to bring Christianity in here, all right, and start finger wagging at the atheists saying here, but I mean, it is a good point. I mean, if your moral foundation is shaky, who is to say what your foundation is? I mean, who is to say like what is just? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all debatable. It's open to interpretation. A great example of this is the abortion debate. Like, is a fetus, a child, a life or not? Does it have life or not? And just that one small distinction, you know, decided by whatever your foundation is for morality, can completely change how you view it. Yeah, I mean, I do think race, in reference to this meme, we're talking about black privilege. I do think this guy benefited from race. If he had been white, I don't think that the judge would have been so lenient with him. I wouldn't be surprised if she threw the book at him. Now, I'm not going to accuse her of actually doing that. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but I have a sneaking suspicion, all right? Black privilege, the ability to break every law in the country and still remain the victim. So true. And I mean, look, we've seen this story again and again. 72 arrests, set a woman on fire. 45 arrests, murdered a woman. 39 arrests, murdered a woman. 33 arrests, murdered a guy. 17 arrests, murdered a woman. I don't know any of these cases except the last one. I don't know if they're famous, but yeah, insane that the judges aren't held accountable for this. Because like I said, it's not about sympathy for the perpetrator. It's not about reform either. It's at the end of the day about prevention. But look, of course, it's white liberal women who caused this anyway, so it's hard to feel sympathy. It's like the women being the victims of rapes and assaults in England. I mean, most of that is stuff voted in by liberal women, and they are the ones that suffer most as a result. So, you know, as sick as it is to say, it's hard to feel sympathy sometimes, just to be honest. Oh, look at this retard right here. I expose racism, pedos is his name. Where was the outrage when Jesse Butler brutally raped 2 teen girls and was let off the hook by 2 white judges? All right, is anybody defending that? You idiot. I want to see what the comments are. Okay, nobody's defending this. You retard. Pretty sure everyone was pissed about that one too. Yeah, like no shit. Are you dumb? We can point at cases and be like, oh yeah, that's a problem. That's what we're doing. This isn't like, oh, he's just playing whataboutism, but obviously it's rage bait. It's just retarded. This person, shout out to a fellow Catholic here. I love how their mindset boils down to, well, it's okay because other people do bad stuff too. Yeah, but we're more concerned about the rate and propensity for the crimes, but that's a combo they will never have because they are the most crime-ridden and violent group. Based. So well said, you know, so well said. Some people on Twitter do have a high IQ, you know what I'm saying? You find them every now and then. There's still outrage for those judges as well. All rapists should die. So true. Now here is the mayor, I believe of Louisville, Kentucky, Mayor Craig Greenberg weighing in. He says, I think it's very important for individuals to be, I assume it's a man, actually. I actually don't know if it's a man or a woman, but they don't say. I think it's very important for individuals to be held accountable when they commit violent crimes, and I think it's important to respect the jury process as part of that. Of course, the jury's thinking of themselves whenever they issue this recommendation, right? The jury's thinking, what if it was me? What if it was my sister, my daughter, my mother? What if it was somebody I know, a coworker? You know, the jury are actually affected by this outcome, you know? The judge probably isn't because she's, well, I was going to accuse her of being rich and insulated. I mean, I'm sure some of the jury might be as well, but, you know, I feel like in a way, maybe the judge is even, how do I say, she's probably like jaded by the cases she sees. I mean, she sees these types of people every day. Maybe she even grew up around these people. I don't know. I'm just saying people of similar races grow up in similar environments. Of the same race, I guess, grew up in similar environments. So like I said, maybe she's jaded. She's used to it, you know? I don't know anybody who murdered and raped somebody. I've never even come across a person like that. I'm sure most of the jury haven't either, but it wouldn't be rare for the judge to see these people every day. Or I don't know about every day, but, you know, often. So it's easier for her to have sympathy because she's, yeah, like I said, jaded. And the jury is not. They have a real perspective. And they know that this should be rare. You shouldn't see this often, and you shouldn't have sympathy for these people. So anyway, there's not much to say here. Just want to say liberal judges are common and unfortunate. Well, I don't know how common they are. I'm just saying that. But luckily, I don't think they're too common. Otherwise, this wouldn't really be a story. So not as common as we may think. But hopefully they don't become more common and we have to call out these things when they happen. So, oh my gosh, where did I get a freaking virus from? And yeah, you have to call out these things when they happen so that they don't happen in the future and raise awareness to them. Let me know what you guys think I should cover in the future. I need ideas, man. I don't have any ideas. You know what? You know how I get my ideas? I go on Twitter, I start scrolling, and then I screenshot whatever I see and get the first, you know, cover the first thing. Let's see. Well, we're at the end of it. Nobody watches this far anyway. Let's see what there is to cover. Grooming gang survivor. I did want to cover some of this. I did see some of that. The grooming gangs in the UK. I assume that's what that's about. Mother pushed by students during Issaquah walkout. I don't know what Issaquah is. I assume that's a town or a city. Yeah, I talked about these on the right. Wow, rude. No need to call Erica Kirk a B word. What the heck? Somebody attacked James Fishback at his home or his staff's home, I think. Donald Trump involved in the Epstein case, according to the screenshot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mean to be on here just scrolling Twitter. But anyways, like I said, you guys tell me what to cover. Let me know what you think, how I can improve the show. Is this a show? I don't know. Whatever this nonsense is, whatever we're calling this, me yelling at the camera angrily for half an hour. Follow me on Instagram, Punish Prince, all one word together. I will follow you back. I promise. I pinky promise. I was trying to say pretty please, and I confused it with pinky promise. Anyways, like I said, pretty please follow me on Twitter. I pinky promise to follow you back. Oh, I should have covered the Super Bowl. I wanted to cover Nick Fuentes' reaction to the Super Bowl because I actually kind of agreed with them in some ways, but obviously it's a nuanced take. All right, don't get your panties in a bunch. I did have some opinions that differed from his. I actually quite liked the Super Bowl performance. I thought it was going to be more kind of distasteful, but I think he did it tactfully. Is that the right word? I don't know. I'll look that up later. But you know, the American flag was prominent at the end where he's pulling all the flags out. You know, it was front and center next to the Puerto Rican flag. Obviously, he's Puerto Rican. He's going to represent his country. So I quite like that. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. That's not even relevant to the video. So I'll see you guys later.